WSB TV Atlanta. This is Channel 2's Action News. Good morning, Georgia, with Vic Carter and Karen Mittens weather.
Good morning, Georgia. It's 6:30 on this Tuesday morning, September the 18th. Olympic organizers in Atlanta hope that what's underway now in Underground Atlanta will be the beginning of a day-long celebration. The celebration of Atlanta's selection as the city to host the 1996 Summer Olympic Games. Good morning to you. It's good to see everyone out there. Good to see you, David.
Right.
Big day.
Nice to see all these people up and at 'em this morning.
Besides us.
That's right. A lot of celebrating going on even at this hour down at Underground Atlanta. The weather is just going to be magnificent for a big party this afternoon. Looking for a high temperature about 81. Plenty of sunshine.
Okay, David, thanks a lot. Well, but first we have this update from Tokyo, Japan, where members of the International Olympic Committee are preparing for the big vote. This follows a day when all 6 cities contending for the 1996 Summer Games will be presenting their final cases to the committee. And as Channel 2's anchor Monica Kaufman reports, for better or for worse, Atlanta got to go first.
In the land of the rising sun, the sun rose on the final day of hope for the Atlanta Organizing Committee. AOC Chairman Andrew Young met with the 60-member Dream Team in a tranquil Japanese garden just before the Atlanta presentation. It was a time of thanks and song. Winning was on his mind, but so was losing.
Well, have you ever heard anybody go to the Olympics and come back feeling like they lost? Just the fact that we got here makes us a winner. That all over the world, people know about Atlanta.
When he finished, the youngsters saluted him with the AOC song. He walked away with tears in his eyes and then decided one last time to catch the moment. Inside the hotel, the moment of truth was at hand. Atlanta would present first. It was the luck of the draw in Barcelona. Since only the AOC and their family and IOC are in the room for the presentation, we are unable to show it to you. The presentation included many facets, including a taped message from President George Bush. There were also speeches from the 2 United States members of the International Olympic Committee. Governor Joe Frank Harris spoke, as did Mayor Maynard Jackson, Andy Young, and Billy Payne. Interspersed were videos that had to deal with what Atlanta had to offer and also showing the Atlanta spirit. And then there was the brand new Atlanta song, The World Has One Dream. Only 2 questions were raised after the presentation. One dealt with transportation, the other with the Olympic Village. Both were answered easily.
Well, I thought it went well.
Well, how do they think they did?
Andy, how you feeling?
I feel good. I feel like we said what was in our hearts, and I just hope that that was enough.
Glad it's over. That's the main feeling.
At the ending, as Andy was finishing his remarks, talking about how the world really had one dream, music came up softly in the background, and if you had a heart in that place, it was touched. I mean, that's when I lost it, and I just grabbed the tissues, you know, just beautiful.
Now, what Billy Payne calls the worst part of being first, waiting.
Well, joining us live now on the telephone is Monica Kaufman. Monica, are there any hints now on how the vote's going to go?
Well, so far as we know, we'll know within the next hour or so. Actually, the program to announce the winner will start at 8 p.m. Tokyo time. The winner will be announced at 8:45 p.m. Tokyo time. That's 7:45 Atlanta time. Here's the latest thing we're hearing, that Toronto is out because of the demonstrations there against the games. The problems came all the way here to Tokyo. 2 of the members of Bread Knot Circus set up a tent in the lobby of the International Convention Center to protest the games. They said they don't want the games, they want more food for the poor. The next speculation, and this is the big speculation of the morning, is that Melbourne could win as the compromise candidate. It is said they matched Atlanta in emotionalism at the end of their presentation. They told the committee Australia is one of the 5 Olympic rings but hasn't hosted the Games but once in the last 100 years. And they said the tearjerker was the closing remarks done by a 17-year-old Aborigine girl. She's a runner. She told the committee in a very powerful and emotional message what having the Games in Australia would mean to her. Now, you do know that Atlanta's big competition coming in was Athens, Greece. They had pitched history and tradition because, again, in 1996, it would be the 100th anniversary of the modern games. They said they've always lighted the Olympic torch to send somewhere else. At this time, they'd like for it to remain at home. As for Atlanta, as we've reported before, the theme was living the Olympic dream, people of all races and background working together to make the city a truly international one, a city of the future. Now, all that's left is the announcement. Again, it should come about 7:45 a.m. Atlanta time. We will have reaction, whether Atlanta wins or loses, from the room as soon as it happens. And this is Monica Kaufman reporting live from Tokyo and the meeting of the International Olympic Committee. Vic.
Thanks, Monica. We're all waiting here. Well, the official Atlanta celebration is scheduled to take place at Underground Atlanta. Some festivities are already underway. Well, joining us live is Sandra Bookman, who's there along with Chuck Dowdle. Good morning, Sandra.
Good morning, Vic. And believe it or not, I'm wide awake, and there's no way you couldn't be down here at Underground Atlanta. Believe it or not, there's several hundred people that have already gathered here, and not just the folks that have been working all night and helping to put this celebration together. As Monica pointed out, I think that this race is going to end up being a photo finish. The Atlanta Organizing Committee has known that all along, to be perfectly honest. They've worked really hard to make Atlanta truly a contender in this race. They've spent $7 million, 3.5 years. They've come a long way.
We want the game. We want the game.
Unbridled enthusiasm. That is perhaps the best way to characterize Atlanta's multi-year quest for the 1996 Summer Olympic Games. Atlanta first got the nod to be the U.S. bid city for the Games in 1988.
The city that will be advanced by the USOC will be Atlanta, Georgia.
We're going to be confident chasers of our Olympic dream, and we're going to bring it to Atlanta in 1996.
Billy Payne has led Atlanta's quest for the gold. He and the other Atlanta Organizing Committee members have flown around the world, wooing International Olympic Committee members. And they've brought IOC members here, wining and dining them in style. What has been the price tag for the run for the gold?
It's cost us about $7 million as compared to over $20 million for Melbourne. Untold, speculated $30 million for Athens, $15 million for Toronto, and those are really all the four contenders. So we've done it half or less than any of the other, and it's come 90% from the business community.
The AOC believes the payoff, should Atlanta win the Games, will be worth it. In addition to some new state-of-the-art sporting venues, the city stands to make about $3.5 billion over the next 6 years. The Olympics would bring an estimated 84,000 jobs, mostly temporary, and the more than 700,000 visitors are expected to pump millions of dollars into the local economy. And what about Atlanta's competition? There's Athens, the birthplace of the ancient games and spiritual home to the modern Olympics. Toronto, boasting the world's most modern stadium and one of its most cosmopolitan populations. How about Melbourne, the host of the 1956 Games and looking for a second shot 40 years later? And the dark horses, Manchester, an industrial town in England, and Belgrade, Yugoslavia, whose officials vow to keep bidding until they win the Games.
And that's a look at what Atlanta has done, how far the city has come, and what the competition is. As we've said, there is a big celebration planned for all day down here. Chuck is standing by in the midst of all the folks that have already turned out. Chuck.
Sandra, I tell you what, in the midst of all these Atlantans who were out very early this morning to celebrate the dawning of Olympic Day here in Atlanta, I have found an Australian. In fact, from Melbourne, Mr. Peter Stevens. He is a correspondent with the Melbourne Age newspaper. And Peter, first off, tell me what's your impression of the turnout here very early in the morning here in Atlanta.
Well, it's just wonderful to see, but in a sense it's not surprising. One thing that I've detected on my previous visit to Atlanta and in my dealings with the people of this city is that there's a very deep enthusiasm for the Games coming to Atlanta. You know, it's been obvious in everything that your committee has done, and it's obvious in the way the city has got behind the bid. It's to be honest, I would have been surprised if there hadn't been this sort of display of support and emotion.
We're hoping that within the next hour, they will get the news that will keep them celebrating all day. Let's go back to Sandra Bookman live in Underground. Sandra, are the spirits still high down there this early in the morning?
Yes, Vic, the spirits are high. Frankly, I'm surprised that there's so many people down here this time of the morning. We've got several thousand people that have come out for Atlanta's Olympic Day. And right now what the crowd is doing is standing by. We've gotten word that in just a few moments, the folks in Tokyo are going to get a good look at the crowd here. And they've been told to cheer and be as loud as they can and to say, we want the Games.